What I'm going to go through in this video with you will 100% change your life forever. And I wholeheartedly believe if you've been brought to this video, it's almost like God has brought you here at the perfect time in your life, because after you do what I'm going to go through with you in this video, it's almost like you'll be living a whole new life. Because I'm going to walk you guys through the exact step-by-step guide to becoming the dream version of yourself that will create your dream reality. To give you guys some context on me and my journey so far, my name's Kasim, I'm 21 right now, and I started out as an entrepreneur when I was 17. So when I was 17, I realized that I had to step up and be an entrepreneur, otherwise my family would struggle financially forever. So I started my first ever business and I got it to be a success by the time I turned 18. I was making well over 10k per month. And obviously since then I've been able to take care of my family's struggle forever pretty much. And when I turned 18 as well, I moved to Dubai. So on my 18th birthday, I moved there. And of course, since then I skipped university, didn't go to university and left school. And when I was there, my perspective on how successful that I could be and the man that I could be changed massively. My whole worldview and perspectives were just blown up, because obviously I was around such wealthy people and guys that had done so much in the world at quite a young age. And when I was there, I also quit that 10k per month business because there was no longevity in it, or for me, long-term benefit of running it. And then from there, I started to progress and focus on progressing down the path of building generational wealth, not just trying to make 10, 15, 20k a month. And I built a business that I run to this day called the Growth Partner Agency. And within 6 months of starting that business, I was already well past 50k per month in profit. And I was also progressing me down the path of my long-term vision of building a 9-figure e-com brand. And pretty much becoming what I'm going to show you in a minute. And just so you guys can see some proof, here's a recent monthly revenue screenshot from my agency, and also here's some of the clients that we've worked with at my agency and that we still work with to this day. And of course, since then, lifestyle-wise, ever since I moved to Dubai, I've just pretty much lived and traveled wherever I wanted to. I've lived my dream life. I've lived in Dubai, London, all across Europe. I lived in Thailand, and I also lived in Bali for the last year. That's also brought me up to this point now, where I'm 21. And now, going through the process I'm going to go through in this video with you guys turned me from a point where I felt very, very lost in life and very, very kind of just not confident in myself and what I can do, and also my ambition kind of dropped off massively. I was at that state, and when I went through this process that I'm going to go through in this video with you, I then it turned me into who I am now, which is someone that has complete clarity and like I know exactly how I'm going to become a billionaire by the time I turn 30. I have full confidence in the fact that I'm going to do it, and I'm being that version of myself that I know for a fact will get me there. So let's go through it. Let's begin. Step 1 is to become aware of why you are the way you are. So you first, before looking at what you have to do, you first had to become aware and look at the reason as to why you aren't the way you are, why you aren't the way you want to be already, why you aren't your dream version of yourself already. And the main reason is your current identity. In other words, it's how you currently see yourself and who you believe that you are. And that is the main reason as to why you aren't currently taking the action or being the version of yourself that you want to be. So your current identity is kind of an umbrella term, but within your identity is these things. So it's a makeup of your current beliefs, your current perspectives, your past traumas or unresolved issues from your past life and like your childhood, your fears and limiting beliefs, the way that you see yourself, your habits, and the thoughts that you choose to focus on and give energy to. There's obviously a few more things, but these are the most key things. And a very, very key lesson I learned that has changed my life and changed a lot of other lives that I've told this to, is why do we procrastinate, and why do we end up not being who we want to be every single day? And the reason for that is because something inside of you, day to day, obviously when you're living your day, something inside of you is being triggered. And when I say something, that something is one of these things: your beliefs, your traumas, your fears, something like that is being triggered by what it is you're doing or the thoughts you're having. And when that happens, your mind feels uncomfortable. So when your mind feels uncomfortable, it tries to return to what feels most comfortable and most normal. And that is going to be your bad habits and your bad patterns that you always fall back into. That is what we call procrastination. So what happens is you're either living in the past, which is what I mean by that is your traumas or the judgments you have of yourself, or you're living in the future, which just means your fears or your limiting beliefs. So that is the main reason as to why you aren't being who you want to be every single day. You're either living in the moment, in the past, or in the future. And you're not living completely in the present, because when you're in the present is when you can do whatever you need to do. And there's no nothing holding you back, nothing like causing friction towards doing whatever it is that you want to do, especially when it comes to building a business, doing the work that it takes to actually make money, or maybe even it's going to the gym, whatever it may be, to become the dream version of yourself. So now that you know that, step 2, which is the most important one, is to kill your current self, the way that you see yourself currently, and rebirth yourself as who you need to be. So if you don't think currently that you are someone who can do it, who can do whatever it is that you want to do, then you're not going to do it. It's kind of simple as that. And it's the harsh truth that you have to come to terms with, because we like to think, obviously if I asked you, do you think you can become a millionaire? Do you think you can make 10K a month? Do you think you can live your dream life? You'd like to say that, yes, of course I can. Of course I will be able to do it. But deep down, we don't really believe that it's who we are yet. And what happens then, because we don't believe that it's truly who we are yet, our daily actions, our thoughts, and our ideas, and pretty much just the way we live our lives every single day reflect that. It reflects that lack of belief in yourself. So how do we change this? We have to kill your current self, who you currently see yourself as, pretty much everything about your identity, and rebirth yourself and rebuild yourself as the version of you that can make, for example, $1 million in a short time frame, or whatever it is that you want to make. Even if it's just, for example, getting to 10K a month, 20K a month, just so you can live a comfortable life and take care of your parents. You have to rebuild yourself as the man or the woman who can do that. So what are actually the action steps that can make that happen? The first thing is, I want you to write out and dissect everything about yourself that you don't like or want to change, or that deep down needs to be different if you really want to make it. Now, some examples of this are how you think, how you act, how you react to things, how you feel day to day, how you operate in the way that you operate, the habits that you have, the patterns you fall into every single day, the way you live your life and spend each day, the way that you work, how you focus, every judgment and all the anger you have for yourself, and the way that you've been so far up until this point of your life, and obviously anything else that comes to your mind like this. These are just some prompts. There's a lot more you can dive deep into. And the most important thing about this is I really, really want you to dig deep, like deeper than you ever have before. This may be very uncomfortable because you're being as raw and true with yourself as you possibly could be. Don't hold anything back. Don't be vague. Be extremely detailed about every single small detail about yourself that you don't like, that needs to change if you really want to be the dream version of yourself that you currently can kind of dream of and see in your mind. And I want you to journal through all this stuff. So the way that I did it is I got my journal out and I just started to write all this stuff down. So I use these prompts as a way to just kind of think, okay, how do I think? Okay, what ways do I think that I don't really like about that I don't really like? And I kept doing that with every single line that I wrote here. I just journaled through it. And it took me quite a while. It took me like a few hours of honestly just journaling. But you have to do this and be brutally honest with yourself, because you can't change what you aren't aware of and what you're hiding from. So there will be things, for example, that you feel probably too uncomfortable to actually write down. And those are the things that are the most important things, because those are the things that will change your life, like really change your life and make the biggest difference. So you have to confront every judgment or everything that you know about yourself that you don't like, and define in extreme detail who you currently are, even though you might not like it and you might not be comfortable with it. The second thing is, and this may sound a bit weird right now, but you have to forgive yourself for everything that you aren't happy with about yourself and your life. And you have to let go of every judgment that you have of yourself. Now, this may sound a bit, easier said than done, but the way that I've really found to make this happen is by doing something called breathwork, a long breathwork especially. And if you've never heard of breathwork or tried breathwork, it is honestly the closest thing you can get to going on some spiritual experience in the jungle, in that sense, taking some sort of drug that allows you to access a part of yourself and a part of your mind that in day-to-day life you normally aren't able to access. Breathwork is the practice of both meditation and also breathing in a very certain way. And when I experienced breathwork for the first time in Bali, when I experienced it there, it was a 3-4 hour breathwork ceremony. That honestly for me has been one of the key experiences that has changed my life forever. And you can very easily just do that by yourself. You don't have to be in a special place like Bali and have a person guiding you. You honestly can just do it yourself. And I've put here a link to a video that I recommend you use. This is the one that I used, and for me, what happens is when you breathe in this certain way and you're focusing on the breath and you're lying down, certain chemicals are released in your brain, and those chemicals are what allows you to access a certain state. And when I say state, I mean the way that you feel, the thoughts you're having, and what you're seeing in your mind. And that, when you're in that state, when you're in those feelings, the person you've been up until this point and the person you currently are, and you're ready from that point onwards to genuinely build yourself as whoever it is you want to be. And it's hard to access that, that really certainty that you have done that until you've done something like breath work. So I recommend that at this certain point, after you've done this, you could then dive into this certain breath work here and just turn this video on, put your AirPods in, and then just do this, lie down, and then just do this breath work to the best of your ability, even if you've never done it before. And during that breath work, and especially after that breath work, you'll be in a certain state where you genuinely can decide from that point onwards that whoever you've written down this in the first step, that version of you that you've written down is no longer who you are. You no longer associate with that version of yourself, and you no longer think that's who you are anymore, and therefore that it won't be who you are anymore. And you have to feel that you've truly made that decision. It will almost feel like a weight off your shoulders, and you'll feel extremely grateful and excited that this is no longer who you are, because you know exactly everything about yourself that you want to change, and you know now that you can do it. You'll have that certainty that you can do it, and you won't be lying to yourself. And then the next step is to think about two things. First thing is to think about something extreme that would really force you, a situation or something in life that would force you to being into who you currently perceive as the best version of yourself, or the person that you know would get things done, would build a business, would be successful, would make money, and obviously achieve a drastic transformation in the way that your life, in terms of who you are and the way that you live your life, and also the life that you live, your external reality, how much money you have, the business you're running, all that kind of stuff. And for me, for example, that extreme situation that I thought about that was meaningful to me was thinking about if I was a father, if I had a child. And for example, it could be that your parents are going to die that year. If you knew that and you thought about, okay, somebody asked you, how would you act? What would you do every single day if you knew for a fact your parents are going to die in the next month or in the next 2 months? Obviously, you would act with a lot more urgency. You would live your life differently. You would let go of all the childish habits you have. You would let go of everything holding you back, and you would be what you would perceive as a dream version of yourself. That is what you want to create with this kind of thought exercise. Think about that. And for me, that version of my parents dying for me was, if I had a son, if I had a child on the way or here, there's no way that I would keep up all these childish habits of procrastinating, of watching Netflix videos, of scrolling on Instagram, of not going to the gym. I would 100% want to be the best example I can be, and obviously I would need to do what I know I could do when it comes to building a business and making money so I could take care of my son. So that's what for me was the most meaningful thing. So think about whatever situation, hypothetical situation hits the hardest for you and makes you think, yeah, I can't fuck around anymore if this was my situation. The second thing is to think about the dream version of yourself and your current perception. What do you perceive as the best, the peak of you in terms of every aspect of your life? The version of you that you wish to be. In other words, the version of you living the life that you wish you did. So think about, for example, for me, I thought about who would I be as a billionaire? The billionaire version of me, how would he live his life? How would he think? And obviously this is where we go into writing this stuff down. So I then wrote this stuff down. So I would think about both the version of me in that situation as a father, and also as, for example, the dream version of me, which is, for example, a billionaire version of me. I thought about who they are, how they think, how they act, how they react, how they feel, how they operate, how they take action and work, the habits and the standards they have for themselves, the kind of non-negotiables, things that they do every single day, how they live their life and spend each day, the things they do every single day, no matter how they feel, and obviously anything else that comes up for me in that sense, in every aspect of my life, not just with business or work, but with every aspect of life. And after you've defined this person, this dream version of you, this dream version of who you think you can be, the kind of peak of who you can be, that is more than capable of doing something like, for example, making $1 million in a short time frame, or building the business you want to build, or taking care of your parents and retiring them, whatever is most meaningful for you. Now, open a new page and rewrite all of those things, but now write them as, I do this. This is how I act. This is how I feel. This is what I do every single day. This is the habit that I have. So it's almost like an I am kind of statement page, rather than he does this, he does, he acts like this, he does this. So obviously you initially thought of when you thought of the dream version of yourself, you're writing down, he thinks like this, he does this every single day. But now change those things into I act like this, I feel like this, I do this every single day. And this becomes now your new identity. This becomes who you truly believe that you are, down to your core. There's no lack of belief or confidence in yourself that what I've written down in this page is who I am. It's just like, so I have it here, for example, where this document for me is this I did when I did this for myself. So I have all these different things that I've written down that you can see here. And these are the things when I thought about myself as a father, as a leader, as a billionaire, I wrote down, okay, what would that version of myself look like? What would he do? So for example, I wrote down things like I have complete control of my mind. And then from there, what I wrote down is, for example, I practice breathwork every single day. I push myself into something called a beautiful state every single day. I journal my thoughts and work through them every single day. And I kept going through. For example, the next one is I love myself, my life, and I feel in complete power. The next one is I finish everything that I plan and I'm a man of my word. The next one is I seek knowledge and wisdom constantly. And I just keep going on from there. And after that kind of like umbrella term, I then write down exactly what steps I actually would do every single day to make that who I am. So you have to realize that when you've written down this new version of yourself, this dream version of yourself, it may sound a bit weird right now that how can I just become that? That sounds too far-fetched. But it's the truth. It's like the power we have as humans. We genuinely can reprogram ourselves to become whoever it is we want to become. And the reason as to why we are the way we are today is just because somebody else and pretty much the world has programmed us to be the way we are. That's the truth. So when you take control and you take control of the programming of how you are the way you are and who you see yourself as, that is when you can rebuild yourself as whoever it is you want to be, and especially as who you need to be to get done whatever it is you want to get done. Maybe building the business, maybe getting fit, maybe losing all the fat you have, maybe being more sociable, whatever it may be. You can rebuild yourself and rebuild your identity in all senses. And then when you have that identity written out for yourself, then we'll go through the steps to actually turn that into who you are and make that who you are, cement that as actually who you are every single day. And obviously this is completely transforming yourself from the person you used to be. So no aspect of who you used to be will be who you are from now on. And that is the power that you have, that a lot of people don't realize they have. So then from there, I want you to type this document, like for example, I had here, you may have journaled it, you may have typed it out, type it out in a document in a format you can read very easily. And from there, I want you to print it out, maybe even multiple times, print it out multiple times, and stick it in places that you will see every single day from now on. So for example, with this document that I have here, I stuck it on my wall. So like when I woke up, I would look at it straight away. And I keep it near me whenever I work at all times. And then from there, the next step is to again do a longer breath work, the same way you did before, or meditation, just like this one, for example, that I've put here. And what will happen here is when you do this breath work, after you've done this process, especially after you've written out this document of yourself, and obviously while you're doing this, you're going to be in a whole different state. While you're writing out, genuinely, you're like writing down, how can I be the dream version of myself and who this person is, you know, you also realize that this is who I can be from now on. You will be in a certain state, you will feel really different, and that will be massively amplified by you doing this breath work. So after you do a breath work like this, again, at this stage of the process, you will feel more ready than you've ever felt in your life to completely transform yourself and do whatever it is that you've planned or dreamed of doing. You will feel more excited, more grateful, more like just a clarity and happiness than you've ever probably felt before. And I've literally, I actually showed this process to a few guys the other day, and a couple of them did it yesterday in the last couple of days. And I remember I got a message from one of them, and he said, bro, I literally feel like I'm levitating right now. Like, I've never tried drugs, but this is the closest thing that I could imagine to me almost being on a drug. Like almost, for example, if you've seen the Limitless movie about the Limitless pill, this is the closest thing you can get to that state where you literally just feel complete clarity. Everything that was holding you back no longer holds you back, and you just know exactly what needs to be done, and you become the version of yourself that you always dreamt of being. That will 100% actually achieve your dream life or build whatever it is you want to build in life. And I want you to remember how this feels. How that feeling that you have after you do this process, I want you to remember that and try almost like dream journal it down. What do I feel right now in extreme detail? Because that feeling is what you want to tap into every single day. Because when you tap into that feeling is how you're going to create the life you want to make, the life you want to have. Because the truth about the term manifestation, and I'm not sure how much you've looked into manifestation, but honestly, don't look into it, because I'll tell you right now what real manifestation is. Manifestation is thinking about the way that you would feel if you achieve. So for example, let's have an example, right? So let's say, for example, being a millionaire, right? You want to manifest being a millionaire. You have to write down and become aware of and feel the same way you would feel if you were a millionaire. And by doing, for example, a process like this, and when you feel that way, so there's a formula for life where your feelings create your actions. It's just a fact. So the way that you feel creates the way you act. And when you feel the same way you would feel as you think you would when you were a millionaire, because of that, you will then act the way you would when you were a millionaire. So obviously the way that you were act as a millionaire is the way that you want to be. And obviously that way of acting, that way of working, that way of living life is obviously in time going to for example, you're going to build a business thinking as a millionaire, taking action as a millionaire. And obviously in time, that will then make you a million. That will then make you a millionaire. That is essentially what manifestation is. You have to feel the same way you would feel as if you would when you accomplish, or if you had the thing you want to achieve, the money, the lifestyle, whatever it may be. And because you feel that way, those feelings will then create the action day to day for you to then manifest that in your life. So that's what manifestation really is. It's just a case of tapping into that feeling, which then gives you the power to then act the way that you would act if you were already there. And then because you're acting that way, it will then in time, however long it takes, it will happen. Because obviously you're acting in a way that will just create that result for yourself. You'll create that money for yourself. You create that lifestyle for yourself. So obviously then from there, the step 3 is to be this version of you, this version that you've written down for yourself, this dream version of you. You have to actually be that version of you every single day. So now this is where the real change happens, because even though you've decided to kill your past self, the way that you've been for years, and obviously you're deciding to undo the conditioning and the programming, and try to never see any remnants again of your past self that hold you back. It's not like you can't just assume that, you can't just assume that that's happened now. You have to genuinely fight every single day consistently to really step into your new self. And obviously within time, within a couple of months, maybe even a couple of weeks, like it was for me, it took a few weeks, it took over a month or so. And within time, if you do what I'm going to go through in this step, it will become who you are, to the point where everything I wrote this document down maybe a few months ago, right? And everything that I wrote down a few months ago, this was like, I never did anything that I wrote down here, like a few months ago. In my past identity, when I killed myself, that past identity I have for myself, I didn't do any of this stuff. To where now, after I did the steps I'm going to go through in this step 3, this has become who I am. So if I don't do anything that I've written down here, it feels weird. It feels like kind of strange. And that's the point you want to get to. That's the point you actually want to be at, where not being this version of yourself doesn't feel normal. Because the way, like I said at the start, it's your current identity is what feels normal to you. That's what your identity is. So anything that doesn't feel normal is no longer who you are. So if, for example, in my past identity, for one of the biggest things that held me back was my procrastination, was the fact that I needed to go on my phone and spend so much time on my phone every single day, and I couldn't just focus and work. Now, going on my phone when I'm working feels weird. So that is the kind of concrete, like clarity that I now I know. Okay, this is how I've become this new version of myself. I've let go of who I was in the past, because now that feels weird to me now. It doesn't feel normal to me anymore. So, what you need to realize is that there's a concept that is really, really powerful, that changed my life, and is realizing that there's 2 types of states, overall types of states that you can live in your life. The first one is a beautiful state, and the second one is a suffering state. So a beautiful state, in short, is when you just feel really good. Life is the way it should be. You feel happy, you feel excited, you feel ready to do whatever it is you need to do, work or go to the gym or be healthy, whatever it may be. You feel ready to make change, and you're able to focus on hours on end. You're able to access something called the flow state. And you don't really think negatively at all. And if anything negative happens in life, you just it doesn't really affect you. It doesn't change the way you act. And also you don't procrastinate. Life overall just feels amazing. That is what you will feel. That is what you'll experience in a beautiful state. And then comes the state that most people in the world live in. And I'm probably going to guess that you have lived in this state up until this point. And that's called the suffering state. So in short, what that is it's when you just don't feel really good at all. You kind of feel scared. You don't really want to work. You can have to force yourself to work. There's a lot of forcefulness when you're in a suffering state. You have to force yourself. You have to be disciplined and all this kind of stuff. You doubt everything. You don't really deep down believe in yourself. You can't really focus on anything, and you constantly have negative thoughts, and you always procrastinate, waste time on your phone or whatever other way you procrastinate. You have all the bad habits in your life. Maybe it's porn. Maybe it's just whatever it may be that you have in your life. This is when it comes up. It's because you're in a suffering state. So life overall will just feel shit and kind of depressing. And like I said, your past self, who you've been up until this point, most likely has spent most of your life, as 90% of the world do, in a suffering state, which is why you were never able to achieve anything you really deep down wanted to in life. And your new self, the person you are from now on after you do this process, is going to embody and live in a beautiful state as much as possible, constantly, which is why you will take the action to that you would need to do to create whatever it is you want to create and to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. Because like I said, the state you are in, the feelings you are currently feeling, controls the actions you take. So if you're in a suffering state, that the actions you take will then reflect that. If you're in a beautiful state, which is obviously when you feel good, you feel that love, you feel that power, you feel that happiness, you feel that joy, that will then reflect in the way that you work. Which obviously, like, practically, what that would look like is you'll be able to focus for hours on end. You'll have such good ideas coming through your brain. You won't procrastinate. You won't, switch from things to thing. You'll just focus on one thing until it's done. That is what you'll experience in a beautiful state. So how do you actually push yourself into a beautiful state every single day? This, what I'm going to go through right now, is probably one of the key things that allows me to actually genuinely change my life every single day. Obviously, this process is kind of like a process you go through maybe once every few months, or maybe 6 months, every year, depending on how much you want to push yourself and how much you want to achieve in your life. But this, what I'm going to go through right now, is the things that I do every single day, kind of like on my daily routine, to genuinely make sure that in that day I'm being the best version of myself every single day. So the first thing I want you to do is to create your own world, an environment where no one and nothing can influence your state. So what I mean by that is, for me in my life, the periods where I've truly transformed myself and everything about myself, especially when it comes to the business that I'm building and the money that I'm making in life and the lifestyle that I'm living, has always been a kind of phase in my life where I've kind of built a kind of my own world, in a sense. And what I mean by that is, for example, like where I am right now in my office, this is my world. Nobody really comes in. Nobody really, influences my state. Nobody's around me to kind of make me feel differently, other than the way that I want to feel. So that's what you kind of need to create. You need to create an environment for yourself where you can go there every single day. Maybe it's an office, maybe it's your bedroom, like it was for me when I first started out. Maybe it's a cafe, wherever it may be. But you have to find somewhere and create somewhere where you can be in that place and no one and nothing will influence the way you are. Because only then will you have no excuses. And when you have no excuses is when you can actually, that is when it's all up to you. And there's nothing else, nothing else is the reason as to why you aren't being the way you want to be. The second thing is you need to practice controlling your thoughts and your mind through breathwork every single day. So this meditation that I put here, and also as well, if you want access to this document, I'm going to show you how you can get access to it at the end of this video, so you can actually have access to these breathworks that I'm putting here that I do myself every single day, and obviously the document itself, so you can actually go through it yourself when you're actually doing this process. Doing this breathwork every single day, it's about 14 minutes long. This itself is the closest thing, like I said, to taking the limitless pill, if you've seen that movie, or just taking a drug in general, if that drug was the drug that genuinely just turns you into the version of yourself that you want to be, this 14-minute breathwork is the thing that really does that for me. And it's actually insane how much it changed my life, and it has done for everyone else that I've shown it to as well. And the third thing is I want you to only consume content that opens your mind and makes you think positive or inspiring thoughts. It's a really important thing for me, because I remember always watching Netflix shows and just BS YouTube videos that just don't provide anything for me and don't give me any value. And I straight away, when I went through this process, I realized, okay, the dream version of myself, like I wrote down here, actually, I seek wisdom and a knowledge constantly. So one of the things I wrote down was I only consume content that gives me more knowledge or wisdom. So what I did was I cut out every single thing that I used to watch, all the Netflix shows, all the BS YouTube videos, and I only from there switched to watching stuff that I knew was beneficial for me. It could be podcasts, could be interviews of successful guys, could be just beneficial videos in general, like this, for example. I only switched to watching content and consuming things like that. The fourth thing is you need to remind yourself of who you truly are and your new identity, and tell yourself that this is who you are constantly. So this is why, for example, I told you to print it out. That now that I have this document with me all around my house and all around where I work and where I live, I read this document out to myself, as loud as possible. As loud and as much as possible. So I read it with like pride. I read it with like, okay, this is who I am. That's kind of the feeling that I have when I read this. And I talk to myself in the mirror about who I am. It may sound a bit weird, but after I read this document to myself, I sometimes spend maybe, for example, 5 minutes a day looking at myself in the mirror. It's called the mirror exercise. And I just look at myself in the mirror in my eyes, and I just talk to myself about who I truly know I am, about the fact that I love who I am. I love who I am now, and who I am now is going to create my dream life. And whatever comes to my mind, I just talk to myself. And that is one of the key also things as well, along with breath work, that has changed my life completely. It may sound a bit weird, but if it sounds weird, that means you need to do it. Because if you can't love yourself, if you can't look at yourself in the eyes and be proud of yourself, then no one else is going to. That's the raw truth you have to come to terms with. And the third thing is you have to brainwash yourself into believing believing everything that you've written down here by saying, for example, whatever goal it is you have, I'm going to make $1 million this year and nothing can stop me. Whatever it is you want to do, I'm going to make 10K a month this year, nothing can stop me. I'm going to retire my parents this year and nothing can stop me. Whatever it is you want to achieve, you have to almost program yourself. There's a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza who has kind of pioneered this kind of concept of the fact that you can program yourself to be whoever it is you want to be. And it may sound a bit weird, it may sound like, well, how does that work? But genuinely, if you just keep saying something to yourself, if you keep believing something and thinking something, that will become the reality for you. So if you keep saying to yourself, I'm going to make $1 million this year, and you keep believing it, really like saying it with meaning, like you really mean it, what will then happen is that will put you in the feeling like that when I talk about manifestation, that manifestation will happen. So the more you say it to yourself, the more you believe it, and actually the more clarity you have on actually how that looks like. So for example, what steps you can take to get there, then what will happen is because you feel that way, it will just become a lot less friction, it'll become a lot like more frictionless to actually then do the actions it takes to actually then make that million or do whatever it is you want to do. So it's a very, very powerful way of genuinely programming yourself to become whoever it is you want to become. You can just program yourself and brainwash yourself into believing that's who you are. And the fifth thing is do everything, of course, do everything that your dream self would do. All of the habits, all of the actions, all of the routines, whatever it is that you wrote down. For example, what I wrote down in this document, you actually just have to start doing those things. You can't just say to yourself, I'm going to do these things and not do them, because the formula is you say these things to yourself, you believe this is who you are. That will then create the feeling of that this is who I am. You kind of feel this power, you feel this love for yourself. Then those feelings will then create the actions, and you can't miss out the actions. You actually have to do whatever it is you've written down. So for example, here I've written down that I practice meditation and breathwork every single day. I have to do that. I can't just not do it. This is how I become. This is how I turn this into my new normal, into my new standards for myself, because I actually start doing it every single day. And because I start doing it every single day, not doing it feels weird. Not doing it feels strange. That's kind of where you want to get to, like I said before. So it's a very, very key step. And it will be a constant battle every single day of becoming aware of the things that trigger you to falling into a suffering state, because there will be things. For example, for me, the reasons to why I procrastinated so much in my life, especially when it came to building the business that I wanted to build and making the money that I wanted to make, was whenever I would sit down to do work, what would happen is the fear inside of me that I had created, because I had this big goal of making 10K per month when I was 17, when I first got started out. That big goal of 10K per month, I put so much importance on that goal to where unknowingly I had a really deep-rooted fear about getting there. Like, what if I can't get there? What if I can't do it? What happens? What if I kept saying what if? Unknowingly, obviously. And because I had this fear inside of me about getting there, and if I couldn't get there, and if it didn't work out, what would happen is every time I would sit down to work, what would happen is that fear would be triggered. So when that fear was triggered, when I was, for example, doing the work that I need to do to actually build the business to make 10K a month, what would happen is that fear would be triggered, my brain would feel uncomfortable, and then when I would feel uncomfortable, that is when my brain or my mind tries to return to wherever makes me feel most comfortable, which is called your emotional home. And obviously for most people, for me as well, my emotional home, what made me feel comfortable, what was normal for me, was to go on my phone, was to scroll through Instagram, was to watch Netflix videos, was to watch YouTube videos, and just waste time in general. To obviously distract me and numb me from the idea that I'm actually building this business, and numbing me from that fear. So it will be a constant battle to realize what those things are. And what I want to do is journal every single time you kind of feel yourself going back into a suffering state. Journal about why, what's happening right now. What was I doing? What was triggered? What is the real reasons to why I feel like I kind of feel uncomfortable right now? And that's how you'll be able to identify the fears and the traumas and the things of the past that you may have. Also, a trauma for me was that deep down from childhood, I kind of had this trauma where I felt like I wasn't good enough to live the life I want to live, to have what I want to have in the world. Because of the way that my parents talked to me, and because of the experiences that I had, I was bullied, and all this kind of other stuff in childhood, that then created the fear that created a trauma that I wasn't good enough to have whatever I wanted to have. And that was something I had to uncover and then let go of while I was doing this process. So now that you know who you can, how you can be, who you need to be to get whatever it is done that you want to get done, it's then time to do this very important step, which is to build out your long-term vision, or to just build out the roadmap for yourself to get to wherever to get to where it is you want to get to. Because what I've realized from the most successful guys in the world is and actually the way that I really realized this is that I became, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see one of the photos there that I became friends with Andrew Tate back when I was 19. And when I first met him, one of the things that I learned from him was the fact that obviously he went from the age of 28 to the age of 32. He went from pretty broke and had no money to becoming obviously extremely rich and one of the most famous men in the world. And he said that he planned that in extreme detail before he did it. And that's what I realized as well. It's like I always said to myself that I wanted to be rich, I wanted to be successful, but I never genuinely knew the exact steps I need to take to get there. And I never knew the destination. So he said this quote as well. He was like, if you don't know the destination, how do you expect to get there? If you don't know in detail what you want your life to look like, the business you want to have, the life you want to live, who you want to be, then how are you going to get there? There's no chance you're going to get there. So you have to build that end destination for yourself in extreme detail, the businesses you want to have, the money you're going to make, the lifestyle you're going to have, and then you have to reverse engineer and build out your vision to get there. So what your life becomes after you do this process is your life just becomes pretty much all you do every single day is looking at your long-term vision and then progressing down it, building the businesses you want to build, making the money you want to make, doing the things you want to do in life. And then you get to that end destination, which is your long-term vision. And then from there, you do this whole process again. So that's kind of how crazy life can be. So for example, my initial long-term vision was to get to 10K per month. I did that. Then I had a new floor to build off of. So my new ceiling then was $1 million, being a millionaire. Then I hit that. Now my vision now is to become a billionaire. So in life, what will happen is you just keep kind of reaching that ceiling, and that becomes your new floor. Thinking about the next ceiling, for example, going from 10K a month to 100K a month to a million to a billion, that will just keep becoming your life. You'll keep kind of building the path for you to get there. You'll do it, then you'll rebuild a new path and do this process again. You'll transform yourself again to become who you need to be to get the next thing done, to achieve the next goal. And that is pretty much the way that you'll live your life from now on. So you have complete clarity at all times what needs to be done to get to where you want to be. And here's kind of like a process you can go through to actually build that long-term vision for yourself. This is how I did it for myself. If you want to actually do some research and dive deeper into what I actually want to do in the world. And you can obviously get this document after and go through this for yourself too. And one of the key steps after you build this vision for yourself, that really, it probably is the most key step, honestly, and what really makes a difference in your life is defining your why, defining your real mission in life. It may not come to you straight away. You may take some, for example, as you actually genuinely take action on that long-term vision, it will come to you at some point. But you have to, over time, define and then refine your mission, your deep mission. Like, what do you feel like is your purpose in this world, at least for now? And even for me, for example, to begin with, my mission was, what I wrote down for me was, I want to retire my parents, give them the life of their dreams, and I just want to not struggle whatsoever. I want to just change my family situation forever. That was my mission to begin with. And then from there, it's now progressed into a much bigger mission that I can go through in a different video. But now my mission, I truly feel like what I have as written down here in my mission is like my true purpose, like why I'm truly here in this world. And that is what always keeps me aligned. Like that is what I'm truly, that's what I truly want to create in this world. I don't really care about the money. I don't really care about being a billionaire for the sake of the money. I care about being a billionaire because it aligns with my mission. And my mission isn't anything to do with materialistic things. It's like what I feel as like what I've been called to do, what I've been chosen to do by God. And obviously you may not know what that is right now. It may be something as personal as, for example, retiring your parents and just changing your life. But over time you will realize that, okay, actually I genuinely feel like I have a deep down calling. Like I want to change the world in a certain way, and that will become your mission. And everything you do in life, especially in business, will just be to benefit that mission and make that mission a reality and actually fulfill that mission in a sense. And obviously as well, what I want to do is to journal about what matters most to you and come up with a line or a sentence or just anything at all, a paragraph, that will be your mission statement for yourself, and print it out and read it to yourself every single day, the same way you do with your identity, and remind yourself of why you are pushing yourself so hard. Because money, you will realize it may be right now, but it won't be, and it shouldn't be the main motivator. Your mission should always be the main motivator, and the money and the success and the lifestyle will be a byproduct or a consequence of that. That's kind of if you get to that point as soon as possible, when you know that your mission is the most important thing that actually really matters to you, and the money is just going to be a consequence of that or a byproduct of you doing that and fulfilling that mission, that is the most powerful place that you can be at. Because then you will act with no fear. You will act with no short-term problems or short-term friction. You will just not care about how hard you have to work or how tough things are. You'll just do it because you know that this mission that you've chosen to take on is so righteous and so powerful that you know that it matters more than just yourself. It matters much more than you. It's much bigger than just you by yourself. And from now on, remind yourself of your long-term vision and your mission every single day, the same way you do with your identity, multiple times per day. And this will make sure that you're always aligned with what matters the most, and you won't get caught up in short-term emotions or fears. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found that valuable. And as I said, I am sure that if you do this process, what I'd say is to take a day out in the next week, maybe even today, maybe even tomorrow. Just set aside a day where you do this process and you just give it your all. Because I wholeheartedly believe that if you do this, you will completely transform your life, because this is what happened for me, the same thing that happened for the other guys I showed this to, and I know this will happen for you too. And also as well, guys, if you want to know what to do next, like obviously I've gone through this with you, but there's a lot more that I can go through with you that I've learned about my mindset and about business as well, about how to achieve the life I want to achieve. And you also want access to a free course that I've spent the last few months building on how I personally built and scaled my own online business from zero when I was a beginner. It's over 50k per month profit in 6 months, as well as a free course on, for example, stuff what I talked about in this video, how I completely transformed my mindset. I spent the last few months building this for you guys because I believe it's part of my mission to kind of pass on the knowledge that I've been given and I've been blessed with to you guys as well. This is why I'm making these kind of videos. And also as well, I'm going to give the opportunity to you as well, to the guys that watch this video, you can also book in a free one-on-one call with me, and on that one-on-one call we'll just jump on Zoom and you can ask me any questions you have, and I can we can build a roadmap together on how you can get to where you want to be in life. And the reason as to why I'm doing this is because, like I said, this is part of my mission to kind of pass down the knowledge that I've been blessed with and to help other people have the same transformation that I've had. So what to do is to go ahead, in the description you'll see a link to my free community. Go ahead and click that link, join my free community. There's no payments whatsoever. You just have to put in like your name, and then just request access. I'll let you in within a day or so. And then you can access all this stuff. You can access the free course on how to build the business that I've built. You can access the free course on how to transform your mindset. And also you can access the link where you can book in a one-on-one call with me, even in the next few days. If you want to book in a call with me to ask me questions, you can do that tomorrow if you want to. So guys, much love. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, leave a comment down below on the thoughts you're having right now, the way you feel right now. I'd really love to hear. And then also as well, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be making videos every single week, couple of videos a week at least, on how I built the business that I've built, lessons that I've learned both with mindset and business, and how I've become who I am today. And also as well, documenting who I'm becoming on that path to becoming a billionaire. I'm going to document the whole journey in extreme detail and extreme transparency. So guys, I will see you soon in the next video, and hopefully inshallah as well, I will see you in the free community and on that one-on-one call you book in with me. See you soon.